Hey Crusaders, it is the beginning of January and like everyone else, I am going to be looking back on my 2015 favourite books of the year. Now I did do a favourite books of the year so far video in June or July, so I will link that here right now. So the books that I'm talking about today are the books are my favourites from the second half of the year. So to see my first half of the year favourites, click on that video. I highly recommend it, in fact, because that is where the majority of my favourite books of the year were read. So really my favourites were in the first half anyway, and the ones I'm talking about today are still favourites, but not as much as those ones. Anyway, without further ado, the first book I have here to talk about is The Architect's Apprentice by Elif Shafak. Just had to put it on my favourites list after reading it and thinking about it. I'm not sure when I read it, maybe I did read it before the first favourites video, but this is definitely here. This is a lovely story and I in fact did a review of it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much now. 16th century Istanbul, following this boy through his life with an elephant and with an architect, and it's just wonderful. It's just a joy to read. Next book I have to talk about is Of Things Gone Astray by Janina Matthewson. Now this is a magical realism book. It was actually one of my first delves into magical realism, and I really do want to read more of that. In fact, that should be something that I do work towards in 2016. But basically this is a story of quite a few different people from their perspectives, all in very short chapters. And they all wake up one morning to discover that something they love has gone missing. The front of a woman's house has gone missing, someone's piano keys have mysteriously disappeared, and it's all something that those people rely on. Oh, and yeah, and this girl turns into a tree. It's pretty clever. The next book I'm going to talk about may be cheating a little bit because I did first read it in 2014. But what is this video if I do not mental Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe? And it's gorgeous and I love it, and there's nothing that I would change about it, and I could reread it 100 times. And if you have not read it yet, please do. It is not like any other YA out there. In fact, I wouldn't class it as YA, I'd just class it as one of those books that everyone should read, like The Catcher in the Rye. The next book I want to mention is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I do have the physical copy of this, but I believe I left it at university. This one really hit it off with me when I read it, and I'm so happy that I finally read this classic along with reading Jane Eyre early in the year, because I do not regret either of them. I think Elizabeth Gaskell is a terrific author. I am actually reading another one of her books at the moment and really enjoying it. More about that soon. It's about two people who are so opposed in their views on the working class and industry, and it's so interesting to see them spark off each other, and some of the debates that they have are just wonderful. And I've forgotten the name of the heroine, which is really bad of me. What is she called? Oh, anyway, this is not good pre-planning. She is wonderful and she is so strong and independent and just seriously one of the best characters I've read about, and I can't remember her name. And the last books that I want to mention are the first two books in the Powder Mage trilogy by Brian McClellan, Promise of Blood and The Crimson Campaign. So Promise of Blood is the first book, and these have been so much fun to read. They've introduced me to Flintlock fantasy in the best way. I can't wait to read the third book when it comes out in paperback. And honestly, I just love the world in these so much. I've given them both 4 stars, but as a series I do think that it will be one of my favourites, even though individually I feel the books are lacking a little something, but that doesn't matter to me. I just don't give them 5 stars, even though I still thoroughly enjoy them. Basically starts when this man here overthrows the king and starts a revolution by beheading thousands of nobles. And it's to do with the old gods and prophecies about them coming back There are powder mages, which are really unique and interesting, and there are the privileged, and oh, it's just so good. I really do recommend picking up this series if you thought about it, because I do think it's a good one, and I think Brian McClellan is just getting better and better at writing. So those are my second favourite books of the year. Do check out the first video to see what my favourite books of the first half of the year were, because I think you'll find there are some pretty big players in there. Thank you for watching this video. Until next time, look in the shadows, guys. The next book I have to talk about is Of Things Gone Astray by Regina. The next book I have to talk about is Of Things Gone Astray by The next book I have to talk about is Of Things Gone Astray by Regina. The next book I have to talk about is Of Things Gone Astray by Regina. Why is it not happening? What's not functioning in my brain today?